Hi boys and girls, welcome to part 3 of our Cloud Strife from Final Fantasy VII build. In the last episode you saw me complete the sort of from the waist down, the legs of Cloud. It was a lot easier than doing the head, but it still took a fair while. So first thing we need to do is we need to finish off the body, so it's just basically adding in that little extra section which until now I didn't have the steel for, and then adding in his sort of chest up to his neck. So first things first, we've got to grind it and cut it out. We've got to clean it up with files. We've got to mark it with pen. We've got to score it again using the angle grinder. We've got to figure out how we're going to fit it all up. And finally we've got to weld it all together. Okay, a little something like that then. Now we've got to work on the arms and we've got to work on the sword. I'm probably going to do it a bit all over the place because I tend to get bored of doing one thing quite quickly. So let's just get on with it and see how it goes. Cheers for watching. Right then, we have cut out and we have scored all the pieces necessary for the arms. All of that is just the arms. And we have also cut out the blade for the Buster Sword. And I'm not being funny, but bearing in mind that this is, well, for a Cloud that size, this is still the size of a ridiculously big knife, like a cleaver. So, you know, if this was to full scale, that's just obscene. It's actually quite heavy as well, just as that. For goodness sake, Cloud. Bloody show off. Right then. Seeing as how we've already cheated with the Buster Sword blade, I've decided to make a few adjustments. This is what it's supposed to be. There's supposed to be this section here for the guard, and then this part here is supposed to be sort of, you know, squared off, folded into 4, and have the bar coming down as a handle. However, this hasn't actually gone together that well. As you can see, it's a bit wibbly-wobbly, niggledy-piggledy. But I have a nice big square piece of square bar. Square piece of square bar, you know what I mean. Which is exactly the same size, pretty much. So if I cut that across there, and then put something on either end. And then I've also got this piece of square stock, which is the same size as the handle, and we'll have that coming down instead. And we'll just weld that together, and I think that should look pretty cool. Cheating! There we go, there's all the parts. Some assembly required. I have to weld the ends onto this one, and I'll weld a handle onto here, but I'm not going to weld this blade on just yet, because I still want to sharpen it first, but I will drill the holes, and we'll get that all ready. Handle is now all welded up. It will just require welding onto the blade, and the blade needs sharpening first. So that'll be job tomorrow, or over the next couple of days, depending. Looks alright though. Ridiculous. Love me a bit of blue Dicom. This stuff is perfect for marking score lines where you think you're going to need them. And it smells really nice. What we shall now do is score our measurement for where the blade needs to go. There we go, all marked up where we need to be cutting. Bit of a mis-scratch there, but you see the blade. Now we need to get to grinding. It's quite a big chunk. Well, having battled on for ages with that sander, I discovered that actually the die grinder was the best tool for this job. It's not giving me a perfect finish, but then I'm not actually making a knife, so it doesn't need to be perfect. This is all sort of aesthetics. But what I've also decided I'm going to do is I'm going to chuck this in the forge, and I'm going to give it a forge finish, and then take the edge back to a nice sheen. Because this channel's called PJT Forging, so I can't well make a project without at least some element of forging. And the forge finish on this should look really good as well. So what I will need to do last, I need to get a file and I need to diagonal these holes, turn them into sort of star shapes. Because even though in the actual Buster Sword these are round, I'm following the polygon version, and these are little diamonds, as is the handle. As obviously the handle should be round, but like you saw earlier, I'm using square bar. So that's the plan. File these, stick it in the forge, forge finish, bring back to a nice shine. And that should look pretty good, I think. Then we need to weld it all together. Right, we've marked out each of the corners, and I'm going to try and attack it with this triangular file. That should just about fit in there and be able to reach those hard to reach spots. Let's get on with it. Right then, there's the completed blade. Well, I say completed, now it's time to chuck it in the forge, so let's light that up and get it heated up. Right then, we're in.
See, the difficult part now is trying to get an even heat throughout the blade so that it oxidizes evenly. Seems to be doing okay so far.
There we go, I reckon that should just about do it. So we'll turn the gas off. And we will leave that in there to now anneal and cool down and oxidise a little bit. That bubbling effect on the surface is exactly what we're after. And then we'll take it out and give it a bit of a brush in a second. There we go, we'll now leave the blade in the forge to cool down slowly. And that'll anneal it and make it nice and soft so that filing and sanding, etc. should be a lot easier. So, while that's doing that, let's get started on the arms. Now then, what you didn't see was last night I went through all of the pieces and I bent them all into shape and got them all lined up as best I could. It takes a very long time, it's very uninteresting to watch, so just assume that I suffered through it, because I did. But yep, next step is going to be welding them all together and hopefully getting something that resembles arms. Well, I lost the light again, but this is how far I got. So we got both of his forearms done. Those will sort of go on his hips, hands on his hips. And we got one shoulder done. Still got the shoulder tomorrow, and I've got to do the elbow joint with these pieces here. But the sword came out awesome. Check that forge finish out on there. So with the handle, come here. It's going to be looking something like that. Can't wait for that to be done. It's gonna look sick! Well, it's a new day, but of course it started raining again, so welding for the time being is out of the question, so can't carry on from yesterday. However, what I realised I forgot to do on the blade is I forgot to put my touch mark in when I put it in the forge. So I'm going to reheat up the forge, I'm going to redo the blade again. I did miss a spot here anyway, so that gives me a chance to repair that. And then I'll add my touch mark just here, I think. Should look okay. Nice and subtle, nice and small. There we go, touch mark now done. Now we'll do the same as yesterday, we'll heat it back up to cherry red and we'll leave it to cool down in the forge, let it anneal so it's nice and soft. Well, in between the intermittent little rainstorms we're having, and while it's just spitting, I'm working on the collar and the neck of Cloud. The collar is literally just a small piece of square stock, and the neck is a smaller square still, which will probably sit sort of inside this ring of weld. So all I'm going to do is connect those up, and then I'll probably work on putting the head on, rather than do the arms at the moment. There we go, there's the neck welded on to the bottom of Cloud's head. Now we just have to connect the two together. Bum bum bum. Oh, he looks so harmless. Oh dear, how's he gonna bust a move like that? Oh, I am hilarious. Okay, we've completed the bits of the arms. Now it's a case of figuring out how to measure them up and put them on. I probably won't record myself doing this, to be honest, because, well, it's just more of the same, welding. But check back with me in a bit and we'll see how it's going. Look out, he's now armed! Et voila, one finished Cloud. Now the final touch, we've got to put his sword on, and then I need to put some kind of protection over him. Like a giant condom. Or rust converter, perhaps.
Right, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to score a very shallow line with the angle grinder where I want the shape of the blade to follow, and then I'm going to go over it again with the die grinder to make it shiny. I'm not going to worry about buffing it up, I'm not going to worry about sanding it, anything like that, I'm just going for colours. Hopefully you can hear me alright, I'm shouting through my respirator. There we go, line ground. Now we've got to get on with the die grinding. And then weld it up. There we go, just like that. Now we just got to weld it up and attach it.
Hell yes. Check this out. Don't tell me that that doesn't look cool. Only one thing left to do with this. One last thing I've discovered I do need to do is I need to weld a little wedge onto the back of Cloud's foot, because for some reason he's suddenly become rather rear heavy. There we go, sword all welded on, Cloud now done. I'm just toying with the idea of whether or not I want to rust convert, which I think I probably will on the actual main Cloud, but I think on the sword I'll leave that as is because it looks freaking awesome. But yeah, oh man, I'm so happy that's done. This has taken so long. What a project. I thought this was going to be really simple and easy, but holy cow, it's taken a long time. Not simple, not easy, but end result looks freaking awesome. So, to rust convert or not to rust convert? Cool. So, we're all done. I've decided not to do the rust converting. I think it actually would look pretty cool if I let him kind of get that sort of reddish tinge with the rust, whilst the Buster Sword stays nice and sort of contrasted with the black and the sort of almost white colour. I think that would look kind of cool, so I'm going to leave him and I'm going to let him deliberately kind of go rusty, and we'll see how that looks. I can always rust convert at a later date if I decide that actually I'd rather have him more of a sort of, you know, overall black colour. Couple of things about this project. One, I'm freaking glad it's over. It was really enjoyable, don't get me wrong, but oh boy, that took a long time. Brings me on to the second point. Almost everything that could stop me finishing this project seems to have thrown itself at me this one. The winter days, for starters, it's getting dark at about 4 PM now, and obviously not having a workshop, it means that I'm kind of limited by what hours I can work. The fact that it's getting really freaking cold outside as well, so I'm having to layer up in order to actually get any work done, and my hands go numb, so it's actually quite difficult to physically do anything. And also the fact that I've been ill, you know, it's just all these different things have meant that this project has just dragged, so I'm really glad it's done, and I'm really grateful if you saw it through, because I'm really pleased with the result. I think he looks freaking awesome. Just a couple of things about this channel. It might be a while until there's another video brought out, because I'm hopefully moving house soon, and there may be a new workshop in the works, possibly. I say workshop, it'll be a garage, but waiting for contracts and things like this to go through, so there may be a delay over sort of the Christmas period. The house is a shell, so it's going to need gutting and redoing, so my attention's going to be on that with my partner. Also, I'm just really grateful for the fact that, you know, so many of you seem to be enjoying this channel. If you could like, comment, subscribe, do all that YouTube stuff, it helps me out a great deal, so I'm really pleased and really grateful and very humbled if you choose to do that. So with that all out of the way, I will now leave you with these really cool shots of Cloud. He came out so freaking good. Enjoy. Bye. Who says Sephiroth's the only one who's allowed to step out of the flames looking cool?